the list. Please, please, God told me to ask y'all for help. I need your help. I need your help. I can't do it alone. I'm overwhelmed. I'm going crazy. And God, I beg you, I beg you, I beg you. So I'm fighting this fight. And to other people, it's an impossible dream. It's not impossible. It's going to happen.
It turns out that even big Hollywood stars get scared when they are locked in jail. Word on the street is that Diddy can't take another minute of prison time. He's apparently going crazy at this point. But what exactly is he doing? Is he actually losing it? Without wasting any time, let's dive straight into this story. Diddy was put in jail after a bunch of horrible allegations came out against him and after the feds raided his houses in LA and Miami.
Those heavily armored gear and equipment, I don't think they're actually searching for any items that could connect whatever the investigation is. I would venture to say that those are going to be the guys that you're seeing right there, and they're waiting for that all clear. And then this group that you see there, those are the ones that are actually going to go inside. They probably have, like you said, they probably have ideas what they're looking for, where they might be. So, but right now it is still a waiting game to make sure that everybody is out of this building and that it is secure for the investigators to make their way in and actually start that search.
And we should mention, thank you, Stu, that if this is in fact involving a trafficking investigation, we do know that according to Diddy's attorneys and the rapper himself, he has denied any wrongdoing in any of all this. So there are two sides, of course, to this as this all plays out. But it is interesting that these raids happening at the same time. According to TMZ, a raid of his Miami home is happening right now, as well as now we're looking at the live pictures of what's going on in Holmby Hills at this mansion right here, all connected to Sean Combs. So again, until we find out further word as to what exactly they're searching for and why, we continue to look at the procedures taking place regarding this raid that's being conducted by Homeland Security. You have support from local law enforcement officials as well. We saw from the ground shots, you see multiple agencies there a part of all of this, and they have a number of resources on hand with a drone flying up top, as well as they have ladders taking a closer look at certain parts of the property. And so they are looking at every nook and cranny they need to in terms of why they're investigating this home and property. So clearly this is going to take a while.
He was arrested in September 2024, and since then he's been in prison. Diddy is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a facility notorious for housing high-profile inmates, and is also known for its horrific conditions.
People magazine says it's got a source on the inside that tells them that P. Diddy's on watch tonight. Do your sources confer the same information? Are they saying it was possible?
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the shoe have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on side watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an overnight guest. When they told his bond hearing, now they checked him into the system, and reality has hit him. And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on side watch. Another error that I guess some warden told you this. There are sentenced inmates there. They're called cadre inmates. They don't have to be white-collar inmates, but they're doing maintenance on the building. And the problem, why there's a lot of violence there, they have housing units. And they're mixing bank robbers, drug dealers, rapists with white-collar people. And this is why Diddy, he can't go into a regular housing unit because somebody will take him out for sure. Somebody's gonna get a lot of street credibility out of this. People that are doing substantial time that know they're never getting out. They'll just kill the guy, no questions asked.
You think that they'd suck up to him because he's got a lot of money, and if he ever does get the commissary options, he would be able to help them.
Some people do because
I gotta wrap it real quick.
Okay, some people do think that Diddy can help them, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshals inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week, 6 Marshals to do it. He's out of luck.
Listen, I'm going to have you back.
R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Sam Bankman-Fried have all been detained there. For prisoners like them, MDC provides special housing units and 24-hour lockdown with extra security to prevent self-harm. These units are placed on the top floors, far from the general prison population. You'd think that this would be something Diddy might appreciate. But here's the twist. Diddy's attorney, Mark Efilo, complained that the tight security was making it difficult to communicate, slowing the case. So, the feds gave Diddy devices to reach his lawyer. But instead of just legal discussions, he allegedly used them to contact witnesses and communicate with the outside world. Supposedly, he was threatening people and plotting against potential witnesses. When the feds caught on, they took his devices and increased security in his unit, not just to prevent self-harm, but to protect him from other inmates too. Still, word supposedly got around that Diddy was on the block, making him an instant target. Within weeks, Mark was raising alarms, pushing for bail. He even tried to get 2 different judges to grant Diddy a $50 million bail. He argued that Diddy would be placed under house arrest, have his passport seized, and his private jet sold, cutting off any chance of escape. But the judges weren't buying it. They ruled that Diddy was too dangerous to be released unless he proved his innocence. If he could threaten people from behind bars, imagine what he could do if he was out. Diddy did not take the decision well. He reportedly threw tantrums, refused to eat, and wouldn't leave his room. His mood was especially sour throughout the holiday season. Some say that this was because he's a self-absorbed man who's used to getting his way. This was his first Christmas behind bars, so his mental state wasn't in the best place. The feds knew this. They supposedly brought in a shrink to check on him, but it didn't help. The tantrums continued until they'd had enough. Rumor has it that they moved him from the special housing unit to the general population. Mark, of course, called it a reckless move. He issued a warning that someone like Diddy wouldn't survive there. MDC is no joke. The food is barely edible, the sleeping conditions are brutal, and now, Diddy wouldn't even be safe. Mark described the situation as hell on earth, especially for someone who went from a 5-star hotel straight to a prison cell. He revealed that Diddy was having a full-blown mental breakdown over the sudden change. There are even rumors about Diddy becoming violent, refusing to leave his room out of fear that he'll get jumped. He's now pleading to be moved back to the special housing unit, where he'd be under constant watch, dressed in a rubber tearaway hospital gown. Normally, inmates who stay in isolation for too long start to lose their minds. But for Diddy, it's the only place he feels safe. He's already a target simply because he's famous. And if the inmates figure out what he's been accused of, that's when things could get really bad. His biggest fear is that they'll learn about his alleged crimes against minors.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial workers, and often involved a variety of which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media.
Inmates don't take kindly to that kind of thing. If word gets out, he could be beaten by the other prisoners. On top of that, he's allegedly terrified that if they discover his history of getting intimate with men, they'll target him even more. He knows that once they have a reason, every day in the general population could be a nightmare for him. Crazy enough, Diddy is now allegedly begging to be transferred to Essex County Jail, but that request is nearly impossible to grant. As a Marshals inmate, only the Marshals can move him, and there aren't enough available officers to arrange his transfer. His only other option? Being placed inside a transparent plexiglass unit, isolated from all inmates, completely exposed, like an animal in a cage. That kind of setup would do nothing for his already crumbling mental state. Meanwhile, his attorney is still pushing for another bail request. But let's be honest, it's almost certainly going to be denied. The judges understand how brutal this transition must be. Going from a life of luxury to a jail cell is no easy fate, but the evidence piling up against Diddy is too disturbing to ignore. He may very well be guilty of everything that he's been accused of. And if he is, he's looking at a long, long time behind bars. So the sooner he accepts his new reality, the better. But apparently, Diddy just isn't handling it well. A source revealed that he recently had another mental breakdown. He was screaming, begging the guards outside his room to let him go. He insisted that he needed to be taken to the hospital for observation. Not that the guards paid him any mind. Eventually, he calmed down using the meditation techniques that his therapist taught him. Allegedly, this made Mark double his efforts to get Diddy hospitalized. But it doesn't seem like the judges or the feds are listening. Instead, they're focused on gathering more evidence and witnesses for the trial in May. Honestly, rather than fighting for bail, which would only give Diddy another chance to threaten witnesses, his attorney should be working overtime to reduce his sentence. Because at this point, there's almost no way that Diddy is walking away from this without serious jail time. He has been accused of racketeering, trafficking, substance misuse, and SA, among other crimes. When the very first lawsuit against him came out, Diddy immediately pleaded innocent, saying that this was all a plot to ruin his career. But the feds didn't quite believe that. They went ahead to storm and search his houses. And this was where everything got real. They reportedly found a ton of evidence and dirt on Diddy. They learned about his freak-off parties and allegedly found a lot of videos that proved that Diddy did do a lot of nasty things to a lot of people. Tragically, minors supposedly weren't safe from him either. For a while now, people have been speaking up about what Diddy did to them. The list is long, and many are accusing him of SA and substance use without consent. It's not just random minors, but celebrities too. The most shocking reveal, though, just has to be from his late partner, Kim Porter. It turns out that she allegedly knew that she wouldn't live long, so she supposedly wrote a book and stole a few tapes exposing Diddy's crimes and habits. She entrusted them to a friend, instructing him to release everything after her passing. Now, that friend has come forward, using the evidence to testify against Diddy. And word on the streets is that Kim's revelations won't just take Diddy down. Many top names in the music industry are at risk too. Meanwhile, the case against Diddy has piled up, and the feds have made it clear they're not going to let him go. Not until he stands trial in May 2025. So maybe his legal team should be focused on helping him get as short a sentence as possible. But what do you guys think about all this? Do you think that the inmates will get to Diddy before his trial? Or will he keep up this crazy act, hoping that they'll transfer him to Essex? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below.